Let's move on for now, though. And air pollution campaigners who've been out in South London today after a housing development got the go-ahead. This in an area where pollution levels were so high that residents were told to keep their windows shut. Nitrogen dioxide exceeds legal limits on the road where the development is planned, this in Lewisham. Now, a report by the World Health Organization found 44 of 51 towns and cities in Britain have bad air quality with high levels of particulates in areas across the UK. So, is it possible to solve the housing crisis without putting people's health at risk? I'm joined now by the housing expert Henry Pryor. Thank you for coming in to the studio this afternoon. Is this quite irresponsible to grant permission in areas where there are high levels of pollution?
I don't think it is. I think we are in the middle, everyone recognises, in the middle of a national housing crisis. 120,000 children woke up this morning in the equivalent of bed and breakfast accommodation. We have 1.4 million households on social housing waiting lists. The pressure on local and national government is immense. And we have to find places to build government's current housing targets of 300,000 homes a year. And doing that is incredibly difficult. And planning for that is so important, as we can see, because trying to get the balance right between building on brownfield land, traditionally industrial areas that are no longer perhaps required for the original purpose they were zoned for, and sparing the green belt and green countrysides that we don't plough up or concrete over that area is very, very difficult to get right. But as we can see, in London in particular, just this week, we've had the mayor introducing his new pollution zone, extending the traditional congestion charge area in the centre of London and trying to make London a nicer, better, safer place for people to live, for people to bring up their kids, and for those kids to be able to go to school is something that is essential.
A nice area to bring up kids, yet nevertheless residents here will be concerned hearing this news and knowing that there are levels of nitrogen dioxide above levels which are permissible.
But Nick, as they frequently are in many parts, not just of the capital, but other centres across the United Kingdom, you have to remember that because of the prevailing wind in the UK, some of the smarter, more affluent parts of towns and villages were on the west side. Traditionally, where the smog and the wind took that smoke to the east side of these towns and cities was perhaps the cheaper and less desirable places for people to live. And now we're trying to release some of that land in order to build the homes so desperately needed, particularly for those who are struggling to buy or to rent a property and to get onto the housing ladder in some shape or form. Inevitably, if we're building those on the eastern sides of conurbations, there are going to be these pressures. It's one of the reasons why so much money is being invested by central government, so much lobbying going on for the migration from petrol to electrical vehicles, for example, and the differences that that's going to make over the next 5 to 10 years. We're bound to see those sort of changes bringing in perhaps changes to the way we want to live and what we're prepared to pay for those homes when we decide on it.
Yeah, interestingly, I was going to talk to you about the timescale. Say 5 to 10 years. There's no quick fix to anything.
Well, the tipping point actually for electric vehicles, EV, is actually in 2021 when we're going to see a significant difference. But clearly, we've got huge pressures on central government at the moment, distractions perhaps from people paying attention to these things which are so important. Where your kids are born, where they're brought up, where they go to school, those trips to work, and how we operate as a society are really, really important issues which we are not paying attention to at the moment because, understandably, people are focused elsewhere.
All right, we'll leave it there. But many thanks indeed for coming in, Henry Pryor, and talking to us today. Henry Pryor.